Hi guys, it's Shane, and this is going to be different to my usual post Grand Prix video where I normally do a lot more detailed analysis on the Grand Prix and my thoughts on the Grand Prix. This is mostly because this is entirely actually because I missed the Grand Prix weekend in its entirety. This is due to a couple of factors. First one is my work schedule, where I've been working night shifts, therefore I just slept through practice and qualifying. And on Saturday night, on my way to work, I was actually involved in a motorcycle accident. So I spent a significant chunk of Sunday either in hospital or in bed, just recovering. Fortunately, everything is fine, nothing is broken, everything still works, and I am feeling significantly better now, hence I am able to record. So instead of reacting to the Grand Prix, which was sort of chaotic, and I only watched the highlights, which fortunately weren't spoiled for me by my friends, who would definitely try to do stuff like that because my phone was on Do Not Disturb, so I didn't get any of the messages. I'm going to talk about a few things that I've seen since the race. So this is in reaction to a poll I saw on RaceFeed, where it was asking who was going to win the Constructors title, and a significant chunk of people said Red Bull, which I don't have an issue with. I think Red Bull could very easily win the title. They have the pace to, but that's just it. They have the pace to. The thing I want to talk about is the fact that I saw a number of people saying that they only voted Red Bull because Bottas will cost Mercedes the title, and I'd like to address this. So we'll just go through it through the facts. In my notes, he's telling me to go through Bottas' season, so we will. Obviously, podium in Sakir, finished third behind the leading two. Good for Mercedes, par for the course. Dreadful weekend in Imola, very just underwhelming from Bottas most of the weekend, and then ultimately got crashed into by George Russell. Third with a podium in the Algarve, third in Spain, should have finished second in Monaco, but got his race ruined by a cross-threaded wheel nut, and then this weekend in Baku. Now, this weekend in Baku has brought out all these things that Bottas is going to cost Mercedes the title, and I would like to address all of the reasons why I think this is incorrect. So, first, Bottas has been very, very good at 4 of the 6 races this season. Okay? So, taking only the 2 races that suit your argument is an informalogical fallacy. This is called the Texas sharpshooter fallacy. In this fallacy, a marksman or a sharpshooter will shoot randomly at the side of a barn, or me just shooting at that wall randomly, and then taking the tightest cluster of bullet holes, the tightest cluster of 6 for a 6-shooter, painting a target around them, and using that small subset of data to claim I am an expert marksman. This is disregarding all of the other data that doesn't support my argument, so I simply discard it. This makes your argument incredibly dishonest, and it reduces the validity of it because you're disregarding the rest of the entire pool of data because you only pick the data that suits your argument. Yes, Bottas was weak in Imola and Baku. Mercedes as a whole were pretty weak in Baku until they pulled a setup out of their ass with Hamilton. The same thing that happened but to Bottas in Monaco. So let's look at Mercedes as a whole. Now, they came 1 and 3 in Sakir, in Bahrain. Very, very good result for them. They then came second, and obviously Bottas retired, but Hamilton didn't get punished for a large on-track mistake. This happened again in Baku. If he'd been punished for those mistakes, if he hadn't recovered the lap, or if Max hadn't retired, then we are looking at a massive difference in points. We're looking at Max 50 or so points clear of Lewis, and we're having a very different conversation. If Bottas doesn't retire from the Monaco Grand Prix, he's only 2 points behind Perez, and we're not having this conversation. You can see where these small factors can warp it, and just you taking a little bit of data, and it's not even like you're just taking those 2 races as a whole, you're just taking Bottas in those 2 races. That is such a narrow subset of data to use to form your argument, it makes it incredibly dishonest and completely destroys its validity. You aren't using all of the data, so your argument isn't reliable. This is why the Texas sharpshooter fallacy can be used to explain this. Using that fallacy, I could say that Michael Schumacher had a bad 2004 season if I only look at Monaco, China, and Brazil. And I can say, oh, he was really bad in those races. He must have had a bad season if we completely disregard the 13 races he won and the other 2 second places. Now, obviously, I've mentioned the fact that Hamilton has gotten very lucky this season. So let's talk about Mercedes as a whole. Yes, they have been quick on several occasions. Red Bull have looked quicker than them. I'd say it's about 50-50. Red Bull looked quicker in Imola, and they were definitely quicker in Monaco and in Baku. So Mercedes have had 2 bad weekends and been punished for it. Badly punished for it. Badly punished for whatever the hell caused that cross-threaded wheel nut, and badly punished for Hamilton's error and Bottas not being able to get it sorted. This is a Mercedes issue. This is an issue for the team as a whole, and just blaming Bottas is dishonest. It's not correct. Mercedes have had pace issues this season. They haven't looked great at either of the last 2 weekends. They were, if anything, possibly a little slower than Ferrari in Monaco, but they kind of got away with it in a way in Baku because only Perez scored points for Red Bull. Now, if those points changes, if we take out the bad luck that has affected Bottas and has affected Max Verstappen, and the ridiculously good luck that Hamilton has had to avoid dropping 50 or so points to Max, then we are looking at a very different picture where Red Bull are 60, 70 points clear in the Constructors' title and Hamilton is 50 points behind Max. And then we have a very different conversation to have. Bottas is doing a fine job. Mercedes have dropped off. This is not a new thing. We're bashing Bottas. People are bashing Bottas. He's had 3 non-scores, sure. He's also had 3 podiums and a pole position. I actually saw one guy who was convinced that Mercedes might actually finish 3rd behind McLaren. This guy was convinced that Bottas, as I said, with his 3 podiums and a pole position so far, and probably should have been on the podium in Monaco, is somehow that bad that a dramatically underperforming Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris are going to overhaul not only his points, but Hamilton's points as well. And that argument is absurd. Red Bull could very easily win this title, but it won't be on Bottas. It will be on the team who have dropped off on form. Didn't nearly drop my drink. Now, it's one of the things that people just jump on this train to criticise Bottas, and it does bug me a little bit because he's doing a fine job, but because you've decided it's easier to just join the opinions of everyone else than it is to do your research and form your own opinion on how Bottas is performing this year, you can just look at 2 races in a vacuum and go, oh, see, Bottas is shit, ignoring the other great performances he's had. Like in Monaco, where Red Bull objectively had a faster car than Mercedes, yet Bottas was faster than Perez. And Bottas was looking very good on his qualifying run. Max is realistically can count himself to be very unlucky to not be 50 points clear at the top of the championship at the moment. Red Bull have a lot of pace, and Mercedes haven't been punished as dramatically for huge errors than they could have been. Like their error in Monaco cost them 18 points. Hamilton's errors should nearly cost him 50 points. Right? They could have been cost 70 or so points, but they've only been cost 18. Over the last 2 races, Mercedes have been so significantly off the pace of Red Bull. Red Bull have scored 62 points to Mercedes 7, but this is all on Bottas. Couldn't possibly be Lewis as well. It couldn't possibly be the team that are lacking a little bit of pace. It has to be Bottas because that suits your argument. You refuse to take into account the data that suggests that Mercedes just haven't been at the races. It's obviously absurd. So I'm going to wrap this one up early before I rant even further because this really gets my blood boiling. If you disagree and you think that Bottas is the reason that Mercedes are struggling this season, then please let me know why in the comments below. This video is probably going to have a really clickbaity title just to draw people in because I want to have this conversation, and with a bit of luck I can be educated further, and maybe I can educate you guys further on why using the Texas sharpshooter fallacy to justify an argument that is incorrect is fundamentally incorrect because it creates a dishonest argument. So until next time, I have been Shane Nye, and thank you for watching.